Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare 1-cent coins, because some of these coins are rare among collectors and are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest coins and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today. We're turning our attention to a small but legendary piece of American currency, the 1963 Lincoln cent. At first glance, it may look like just another ordinary penny, but don't be fooled. Some of these coins can be worth an astonishing amount of money, and today we'll reveal why. Stay tuned until the end, because the value I'm about to share will leave you speechless. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American pocket change since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. For decades, it featured the portrait of Lincoln on the front, and in 1959 the reverse was changed to showcase the Lincoln Memorial, marking the 150th anniversary of his birth. The 1963 penny is part of this memorial reverse series and represents a fascinating period in U.S. coinage history. On the obverse, you'll see Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of President Lincoln, facing right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1963. Depending on where it was minted, you may also find a small D mint mark beneath the date, signifying Denver. Coins without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, with the words "United States of America" above, "E Pluribus Unum" just below, and 1 cent at the bottom. A closer look even reveals a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail many people overlook. So why is the 1963 penny special? While hundreds of millions were minted, the key lies in rarity, condition, and errors. Most 1963 pennies are only worth their face value of 1 cent, or a few cents to collectors if lightly circulated. But when a coin is preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition with its original red luster intact, the story changes completely. Coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Then there are the error coins. These are the real treasures. Some 1963 cents were struck with double die obverse, creating a noticeable doubling effect in the inscriptions or the date. Others have striking errors like off-center designs, clipped planchets, or die cracks that make them unique. Even small variations can transform a common penny into something highly sought after. Collectors are especially eager to find dramatic errors, because each one is essentially one of a kind. Proof versions of the 1963 penny also exist, struck in San Francisco for collectors. These coins were carefully made with mirrored fields and frosted details, and when preserved in perfect condition, they are particularly desirable. High-grade proofs with flawless surfaces can command significant premiums. Another detail to note is the color designation used by grading services: red, red-brown, and brown. A 1963 penny that has kept its original bright red appearance is far rarer and more valuable than those that have toned to a darker shade over time. Collectors pay top dollar for coins with the most vibrant color and sharpest strike. What makes the 1963 cent so exciting is that something as small and ordinary as a penny can hide such incredible potential. It reminds us that treasures are often overlooked, and that the most valuable coins are not always silver or gold. They can be copper too. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. Among the rarest and most desirable examples of the 1963 1-cent coin, especially those with dramatic mint errors or preserved in the absolute highest grade, the value can soar to an incredible $86,000. That's right, $86,000 for a single 1963 Lincoln penny. So the next time you come across an old jar of change, don't ignore those pennies. One of them might just be the key to a hidden fortune. Top 2, we're taking a closer look at one of the most common coins in American history, the 1964 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it may seem ordinary, the kind of coin you've seen 1,000 times before. But here's the exciting truth. Under the right circumstances, this simple penny can be worth a staggering amount of money. Stick with me until the end, because I'll reveal just how much the rarest examples of this coin are selling for. The Lincoln cent has been part of U.S. coinage since 1909, And in 1959, the reverse design was changed to honor the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. That's when the Lincoln Memorial replaced the wheat ears on the back of the coin. The 1964 penny belongs to this Lincoln Memorial series, and it tells a fascinating story about America during that time. On the obverse, you'll find a classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above him are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1964. Depending on where it was minted, you may also see a small D beneath the date for Denver, while coins without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 cent. If you look closely, you can even spot a tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail many collectors love to point out. Now, here's where things get interesting. In 1964, over 2.6 billion Lincoln cents were minted in Philadelphia and nearly 4 billion in Denver. That's a massive number, making the 1964 penny one of the most common coins of the era. So how could it possibly be worth a fortune? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and minting errors. Most circulated 1964 pennies are only worth face value, maybe a few cents to collectors. But uncirculated coins, those that were never used and still shine with their original red copper luster, are far more valuable. Professional grading services look at details like strike quality, color, and preservation, and coins graded at the very highest levels can bring in impressive prices. Then there are the error coins, which is where the real excitement begins. Some 1964 pennies were struck with doubled dies, where the date, lettering, or even Lincoln's profile shows noticeable doubling. Others came out off-center, struck on defective planchets, or with die cracks creating unusual patterns across the coin. Even a missing clad layer or a striking mistake can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Error coins are one-of-a-kind pieces, and their uniqueness makes them extremely desirable. Proof coins also exist, struck in San Francisco for collectors. These coins were carefully made with sharp details and mirror-like fields. When preserved in flawless condition, proof pennies from 1964 can command strong premiums, especially those graded at the very top. Color also plays a big role in value. Collectors often classify copper coins into 3 categories: brown, red-brown, and red. A 1964 penny that still shines with its full original red color after 60 years is a rare sight, and that rarity makes it far more valuable than its brown or faded counterparts. So even though billions were made, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition, or with a dramatic mint error, is what transforms this common coin into a hidden treasure. And now for the part you've been waiting for. Among the rarest and most desirable examples of the 1964 1-cent coin, especially those with dramatic errors or preserved in the absolute highest grade, the value can reach an astonishing $83,000. That's right, $83,000 for a single 1964 Lincoln penny. So the next time you come across an old jar of coins or search through pocket change, remember to look closely. That little copper coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 3, we're diving into the world of the 1965 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this coin looks just like millions of other pennies you've probably seen lying in drawers, jars, or even in pocket change. But don't be fooled. Some versions of the 1965 1-cent coin are extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay huge amounts for the right piece. Stay with me until the very end, because I'll reveal just how much the rarest example of this coin has been valued at. The 1965 penny was part of a very important moment in American coinage history. This was the year after the United States stopped minting silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars. Because of rising silver prices, the mint was under heavy pressure, and in 1965 they made a big decision. No mint marks were added to any coins that year, no matter where they were produced. That means whether your 1965 penny was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, it carries no mint mark. This makes it an unusual year in U.S. coinage and adds to the story behind the 1965 cent. On the obverse side, you'll find the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed back in 1909 by Victor David Brenner. To his left is the word Liberty. Above him, the national motto, "In God We Trust." and to the right the date, 1965. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, complete with the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, if you look closely with a magnifying glass. These design details connect the coin to American pride and history, but what makes this penny truly exciting is its rarity in certain conditions and the errors that occurred during minting. Billions of pennies were struck in 1965, making it one of the most common years on paper. But as collectors know, it's never just about how many were minted. It's about how many survived in top condition. Circulated coins, the ones that passed from hand to hand in everyday life, are worth only face value. But coins that were set aside right after minting, never used, and carefully preserved with their original bright red copper shine are extremely scarce. These are the coins that grading services love to see, and they can command stunning prices when auctioned. Error coins from 1965 are even more fascinating. Some pennies were struck with a double die, meaning parts of the design, such as the date, lettering, or motto, appear doubled under magnification. Others show off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait is shifted, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. A few coins were struck on defective or foreign planchets, which instantly makes them stand out. Die cracks, cuds, and other striking mistakes add even more variety for collectors. The thrill of finding an error coin is what makes coin collecting so addictive, because no two are exactly alike. Proof coins also exist from this year, but here's an interesting twist. In 1965, the mint introduced what were called special mint sets instead of traditional proofs. These sets were produced in San Francisco with a higher level of detail and finish than regular circulation coins, but not quite the mirror-like polish of earlier proof sets. Well-preserved special mint set pennies from 1965 can bring impressive premiums, especially when graded at the highest levels. Another key factor that collectors obsess over is color. Copper coins like the 1965 penny are graded not only by their condition, but also by their color designation: brown, red-brown, or full red. A full red 1965 penny that's remained bright for almost 6 decades is a true treasure, and those coins are among the most valuable in the series. So, what does all of this mean for the value of the 1965 penny? Ordinary worn examples might only be worth a cent, but pristine uncirculated pieces, dramatic error coins, or those rare special mint set examples in top grade can reach jaw-dropping prices at auction. And now comes the part you've been waiting for. Among the rarest and most desirable 1965 1-cent coins ever discovered, collectors have paid as much as $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. $80,000 for a single penny from 1965. So, don't underestimate that small copper coin sitting in a box or drawer. It could be one of the hidden gems that makes a collector's dream come true. We're going to talk about the 1968 Lincoln penny, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but hides a world of fascinating details, surprising errors, and rare examples that can be worth an incredible amount of money. Stick around until the end of this video, because I'll reveal just how much the rarest version of this coin has sold for. And trust me, the number will shock you. The 1968 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. On the obverse side, we see the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln is the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date 1968, along with the mint mark if there is one. Here's where things get interesting. In 1968, the mint brought back the mint mark for San Francisco after a brief pause in the mid-1960s. That means you can find 1968 pennies from Philadelphia with no mint mark, from Denver with a D, and from San Francisco with an S. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely with a magnifying glass, you can even spot a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a detail many new collectors are delighted to discover. Surrounding the memorial are the inscriptions "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and the denomination 1 cent. Now, let's talk about rarity and what makes the 1968 penny so special to collectors. In total, billions of these pennies were minted across all 3 locations, which might make you think they're too common to be valuable. But the reality is, it's not the common circulated examples that excite collectors. It's the rare errors, the proof coins, and the high-grade uncirculated pieces that truly stand out. Some of the most desirable 1968 pennies come from the San Francisco Mint, especially the proof coins. These proofs were struck with specially prepared dies and polished blanks, giving them a mirror-like finish and sharp details. A flawless proof 1968 penny graded at the very top by professional grading services can fetch a surprising premium, particularly if it still carries its full red color after more than 5 decades. But it's the minting errors that really make collectors' hearts race. Double die obverse pennies are among the most famous errors from 1968. In these coins, the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word "liberty," appears doubled under magnification. This doubling happened when the die itself was improperly prepared, and these coins are one-of-a-kind treasures. Other errors include off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait is shifted and part of the coin's blank surface is visible. Some pennies were struck on defective planchets, giving them unusual shapes or textures. A few even show die cracks, cuds, or repunched mint marks, where the D or S appears doubled because the punch was misaligned. Each of these variations makes the coin more than just a penny. It turns it into a collectible work of art shaped by chance. Condition is another huge factor. Collectors classify copper coins like the 1968 penny by color: brown, red-brown, and red. A coin that still shines with its full original red luster is far rarer than one that has darkened with age. Combine that with a high mint state grade, and you've got a coin that can sell for thousands of dollars to SO, while most 1968 pennies are only worth face value. The rarest pieces, whether proofs in perfect condition, double die varieties, or coins with striking errors, are worth far more than anyone would expect from a simple cent. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Among the rarest examples of the 1968 1-cent coin, collectors have paid as much as $81,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $81,000 for a single penny. So before you dismiss those old coins lying in a drawer or jar, take a second look. That 1 cent could be the key to unlocking an incredible hidden fortune. Top 5, we're talking about a coin that almost every collector has heard whispers about: the 1969 Lincoln Penny. At first, it seems like just another common cent, but the truth is that this year holds one of the most famous and valuable varieties in American coinage history. Stick with me until the end, because you'll want to hear just how much the rarest example of this coin has been valued at. The 1969 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 through 2008. On the front, you'll see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above him is the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is "Liberty," and to the right, the date 1969 with its mint mark. This year's coins were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, in Denver with a D, and in San Francisco with an S. The reverse shows Frank Gasparo's detailed design of the Lincoln Memorial, complete with the tiny seated figure of Lincoln inside. Now let's dive into what makes 1969 so exciting. Billions of pennies were produced that year, but not all pennies are created equal. Some coins struck at the San Francisco Mint became famous for a remarkable error known as the double die obverse. On these coins, the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date itself appear with dramatic doubling that is clear even to the naked eye. These coins were originally so confusing that the Secret Service even investigated them, thinking they might be counterfeits. Once verified as genuine mint errors, they became one of the most legendary modern varieties in coin collecting. Besides the famous double die, there are other interesting varieties from 1969. Some coins have subtle repunched mint marks, where the S or D was struck more than once, creating a shadow-like effect. Others show off-center strikes, die cracks, or misaligned dies that make the coin's design shift in unusual ways. Collectors love these errors because each one tells the story of the unpredictable minting process, and every piece is unique. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are also worth noting. These coins were struck with polished dies and specially prepared planchets, giving them sharp details and mirror-like fields. When a proof coin survives in flawless condition, graded at the highest levels, it becomes highly desirable. Combine that with a rare variety, and the value skyrockets. Condition is everything when it comes to copper coins like the 1969 penny. Over time, copper naturally darkens, so finding a coin that still glows with its original bright red color is incredibly rare. Collectors grade these coins not only by strike quality and preservation, but also by color: brown, red-brown, or full red. A coin with blazing red luster that has survived over 50 years untouched is always in demand. While most 1969 pennies you find in circulation today are worth only face value, those rare double-die obverse coins, high-grade proofs, and pristine uncirculated examples can reach jaw-dropping amounts. These are the coins that transform a simple cent into a true collector's treasure. And now, the part you've been waiting for. Among the rarest 1969 1-cent coins, collectors have paid as much as $79,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $79,000 for a single penny. So next time you're looking through your old coin jar or inherited collection, take a close look at those 1969 cents. That tiny coin in your hand could be the key to an incredible discovery. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the story of the 1969 Lincoln Penny, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another story about coins that could change your life. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.